Radio Rahim here with Bernard Hopkins getting his thoughts on Triple G versus Canelo September 16th on HBO pay-per-view.
So when you look at odds and you look at who's leading, who's not leading, you got to understand, you know, the odds going to get closer as the fight get closer. We just coming out of the gate. The tickets just went on sale today. Matter of fact, go to get your tickets now. I don't know how many left. I don't assume that there's going to be a lot of tickets left. So get them while you can. And if you need to bring your binoculars, it's worth it for the tickets. But let me tell you, this is something that we all got to understand, that odds are meant to be broken. Come September, Canelo, with a the hardest decision fought win you will ever see, will be in September. Remember, I said that.
We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hopkins.
Radio Rahim.
The alien. This fight is named Supremacy, but you are the supreme middleweight of our era. Let me ask you how, when we look at the fights leading to this highly anticipated event, Canelo had Khan. Canelo had a Chavez who didn't even show up, had fights that were unexpectedly easy. Triple G, on the other hand, had very difficult fights leading up to this. Some people thought fights that broke him down somewhat. But being as seasoned as you are as a middleweight and a fighter and a champion, what kind of advantage does it give you? Which would you rather be, a fighter that's coming off of two easy fights or a fighter coming off the two of the hardest fights of your career?
I'd rather be a fighter that's coming off a win, and a win where I learned something. Now, whether it was easy for Triple G and harder for Canelo, if it was the other way around, which it was, if they didn't learn anything from their last 2 or 3 fights, then they will not elevate to be who they need to be come September. So I don't look at Radio Rahim whether the fight was hard or easy on either side. I look at if Canelo or Triple G learn from their previous fights, even with a win, and correct things that you and I didn't see, or the fans, then I would say they learned something and it was a plus. But if they just went on, which I believe Triple G been doing for many years now, at least 3, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, like a late night date, and no one said anything about, man, he looks even superior, he looks even great. What they said was, I quote, look at the power. He did what we expect him to do. So one guy elevates every time he fights. From fighting the guy that do this and made him miss, and then he took that page and learned that schooling in Harvard, a boxing class, by a Harvard professor, you know who that is.
Floyd Mayweather.
Now you look at a Triple G. Wham, bam, thank you, gone. Where have he elevated? How has he elevated? He haven't. Flatline. He's been here because he had never had to go here. And mentally, he's there. And that's how he's stuck. And now Canelo's going to have to, what? Show him not only boxing, not only reflexes, not only cut him off, not only do the things that Andre Ward did to Sergey Kovalev.
Let me know, hold on.
Body.
You retired as a light heavyweight. You just mentioned Sergey Kovalev and Andre Ward. What did you think of the stoppage?
I think it was legit. I think one was borderline on the belt, but I think that leading up to that fight with the right hand and also with the pressure and the roughness inside, listen, I respect Sergey. We back and forth text each other every now and then. Andre Ward figured it out the first fight and know that he was stronger and he had more endurance when he got late in the fight, which is the mid-rounds where he's seen Sergey breathing and holding him down a little bit more than he ever done in any other fight that Andre watched prior to them fighting. Andre Ward used the inside game and muscle and body attack to wear down Sergey early to be able to have the payout in the mid-rounds, not even later. It didn't even get later.
And lastly,
she's doing her job, that's all.
Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. You've had the most success, the latest in life of any fighter in the modern era. Can Klitschko, after having knocked Joshua down in the first fight but still been knocked out himself, come back and win that fight. How do you see the rematch?
I like Canelo versus Triple G. Watch it on HBO pay-per-view. Tickets are on sale. I love Joshua. I think he's a great star, and I think the same thing will happen, probably even more devastating.
Thank you, sir. Radio Rahim with the alien.
Radio Rahim.
He called it for Joshua. Radio Rahim with the alien, Bernard Hopkins, the supreme of the supreme middleweight champions of our era.
Should have asked him about it last year.